Welcome to DRTSPR show. This is Dr. Tangilla Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello, and a warm welcome to Qamar Agha ji. I've been waiting for him, his experience and his true dissemination of information in regards to the ties between the countries, and when they have war mode, the defense capabilities of each country and how harmful and destructive or will it be useful for humankind. So he has been an expert in these lines. And now, because today's topic is more important, when Israel and Hezbollah, like in 2006, are they going for a ceasefire? Will there be a peace deal? Will there be a truce? Is it true? America, as it wants, I'll play a short Instagram video too. It demands that there should be a peace prevailing in between Israel and Hezbollah. As an Indian, being very close to the region, our interests are also there. War will destroy everyone, whether it is aggressor, passive, or those in and around, or those who are supporting them in the name of arms deals. You have seen the arms manufacturers control major part of the world democracies by funding the election process. They are just mocking at people participatory constitutional democracies. You keep them fighting on one pretext or the other, they keep on supplying modern machines, and they are testing these machines, unfortunately, on human settlements. Very sad stories coming out of the Hezbollah, Israel, Lebanon, Iran, that it is enlarged now Middle East. We have last time too, we have discussed on what is happening in Ukraine and Russia. The change of guard in America, Republicans coming back, is it going to help them? Because Trump was very categorical and clear in his earlier this thing. But is it true that in Afghanistan also, because he said Americans first and America first, he withdrew from Afghanistan? Is he going to do the same thing? Will his arms industries or protagonists who fund him, will they allow such policy changes? And how bad or how good it will be for India too? Sarji, please go ahead. How true it is?
Yeah, you're right. War is destructive. It is destroying the whole region, in fact. Actually, the game plan is to, in which Israel is engaged at the moment, is to build a new Middle East. That is the plan. The new Middle East, he has shown the map also, that include the whole of Levant, means Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq. That is the region, And this is the region which is, in fact, hostile to Israel. So US policy and Israeli policy is almost the same, because their interests are converged. There are two major groups, one is Israel and backed by America. The other one is these arc of resistance, the so-called, which the Iran calls them, the militant groups backed by Iran. So they are confronting, and Israel and Iran confrontation we have seen in the past. So now, they have virtually weakened Lebanon, further weakened Lebanon. Lebanon is very weak at the moment, because their economy is all virtually destroyed. Hundreds of buildings were fallen apart. Number of people are killed. More than 1.2 million refugees, internally displaced people in Lebanon. And the so-called truce have taken place, the ceasefire. But it is very fragile. Israel keep on, attacking Lebanon from one pretext to other. And now Israel has also opened a new front, that is Syria. So we have seen in the last 3-4 days The Islamic militant groups are trying to capture Aleppo, and Americans are attacking number of places in Syria. They said that these are the Iranian assets they have destroyed. Then Israel has also attacked number of positions, and they said they have also destroyed Iranian asset, in which number of people have killed so far. So this is a three, front attack, and we all know Syrian army is very weak, and but is still fighting. Its command structure is still there, and despite they have been having pressure since 2011, when the democratic movement emerged in Syria to overthrow wanted a change. They wanted to establish a democratic, secular republic in Syria. But that was, the whole movement was hijacked by the Islamic militant groups, Daesh, Al-Qaeda, Tahrir al-Shams, and there are many, other groups emerge, So now Syria army, but the Syrian, the command structure of the Syrian army remained. Syrian people wanted a change. They wanted Assad regime to go, but they never wanted, the regime to be replaced by the militant groups in the name of Islam. They think, this will be a major problem for them. So that is how, they did not support, but still, these groups control. Now we have got a news information from one of the Mossad operative. He said that Israel was supporting these militant groups since 2011. And at the moment, it looks there is some coordinated effort from the militant groups trying to control Aleppo, and then moving towards Idlib, another town. These are the two. Aleppo is one of the major towns in Syria. And then, at the same time, we see, Israeli and Americans are also bombing Syria in different places, Attempt is to bring a regime change in Syria. How far they will succeed, we don't know. But it is one thing clear, we know the Israeli plan. Israel believes, that Syria, the only way to bring peace and stability in Syria is to partition it into 3 states. And if that happens, this means, the threat coming from Syria to Israel will be eliminated. This is what they believe, Once they gain control over the Syria, then Lebanon is weakened. Iraq is very fragile coalition ruling the country, Then they will move to Iraq. I'm not telling something secret. They have already mentioned it, number of times, the American policy and Israeli policy is also, regime change in Iraq as well as in Syria. They wanted to, Americans have removed Saddam Hussein from power, but have unable to establish a pro-American regime over there. So now they want, this regime, a weak government, army is extremely weak, this regime to go and pro-American regime. And one thing, the Americans are also talking about partitioning of Iraq, into 3 regions. So this way, the Israel's influence would go up to the Iraq, Saudi Arabia at the border of Iran, then Turkey, because Iraq borders with Saudi Arabia, Iran, Jordan, and Turkey. So the whole region. These 3 countries are very important. The Iraq and Syria. These are the two big countries, and they have played a very important role during the medieval period when Islam expanded from Arabia, went up to the Spain and beyond, continue its march, So these two countries are very important, Iraq is destroyed. Now Syria is also weakened, and this most part of it, the government is not controlling. So very bad situation,
Yeah.
So this is what the new Middle East would be. And American policy is, either you are with us or against us. So these countries are against us. Then, if they are against, then in that case, the policy is to engage them in a war and destabilize them. And regime change, this is what it is called.
I'll just play a video or just an image on America. The United States said on last Monday, it wants the Israel-Hizbollah war to end as soon as possible and pressed for the enforcement of a UN resolution that required Hezbollah to withdraw from South Lebanon. The call from Israel's top ally came as Israeli forces escalated their nearly month-long war in Lebanon, including targeting a finance group linked to Hezbollah, and continued pounding Gaza more than 1 year into the war there. So, what is that you would like to comment on this?
Yes, they wanted to end the war in Lebanon. They wanted a ceasefire so that they can concentrate on Syria, because Lebanon is weakened already, and it's still, Israeli continue to attack with Lebanon with different pretexts, different places also. That is continuing. And now they want, regime change in Syria, so they move to Syria.
No, but here, and, are you sure that Israel-Hezbollah peace pact has really come through? Did Hezbollah agree to that?
Hezbollah has agreed. Hezbollah is under pressure from Iran, also wanted a ceasefire. They don't want continuation of conflict, because Israeli Hezbollah is having gave Israel a very tough time, because in the last 3-4 days, Hezbollah has targeted number of places in Tel Aviv, Haifa, and northern Israel, then Golan Heights, occupied Golan Heights, so many places, and the pressure came on Prime Minister Netanyahu to find out some solution, but the problem was, Lebanon, Hezbollah could have continued. The problem was Israel started attacking the Beirut city and its suburb, and Hezbollah doesn't want that to happen. So Hezbollah entered into a ceasefire agreement. But Americans and European, the problem is with Israel, they don't care about the peace treaties. They don't care about agreements, which they enter, or international law, for that matter. That is the problem with Israel. The Prime Minister warrant has been issued against the Prime Minister Netanyahu and his defense minister. Then ICJ, International Court of Justice, has also said that almost asked Israel to prevent genocide in Gaza, and yet, they are continuing with the war. United Nations General Assembly resolutions with 140, 143 votes in favor of a ceasefire, or wanting, the other resolution, demanding the Palestinian Authority should be given a full-fledged membership of the United Nations. That's how the international community is dealing with the issue. But these people, they don't care. The Israeli doesn't care about it, because when this General Assembly resolution goes to Security Council, it is vetoed by the Americans.
But is there United Nations as America wants now? If had there been United Nations, this large escalation of war between Israel now involving Lebanon, Syria, Iran, this could have been, brought under control. Likewise, Ukraine and Russia. So Americans want now United Nations to establish a peace deal between Hezbollah and Israel. Now, how true this peace would be and what it would meaning like to Israel and Lebanon region, and what is that effect which would have on Middle East and India?
You see, we want peace and stability in the region, in the whole of Middle East, because this region is very important for us. Almost 70 lakh Indians are working, maybe more, now 90 lakhs Indians are working in the Persian Gulf region, which is oil producing. Secondly, this region is very close to us. Thirdly, a major source of oil energy to India, and sea routes passes from this area to Africa and Europe. So that is why also it is becoming very important. And we have a trade almost 150 or $200 billion with these countries. And people working in these countries are sending remittances of worth about 40 or 30 to $40 billion annually. So it becomes very important, for us. And we want peace and stability. India has always supported that way, The problem is, world is changing very fast, and multipolar world is emerging. That is why, and this region is very important. A lot of changes are taking place in this region. Countries like Saudi Arabia is wanted to have now independent foreign policy. It's not interested in promoting American interest in the region. Saudi Arabia is also make a deal with China. This is oil supply payment would be made in local currencies between Saudi Riyal and Chinese Yuan. It's a process of de-dollarization, which is not acceptable to American. Then thirdly, Saudi Arabia has made good ties with Iran, not only the diplomatic ties, but also military dealings with Israel. They have joint military naval exercises in Red Sea. Plus, Saudi Arabia sees a bigger role in emerging multipolar world, and Saudi Arabia wanted to join BRICS. So Americans are not happy with that. American want, if the regime change take place in Syria and as well as in Iraq, they managed to get a pro-West government over there, which means, the Israel, that would mean Israel would come up to the border of Saudi Arabia. And that would be a massive pressure on Saudi Arabia, pressure to remain with American fold, not to make any deal with China or Russia. So that sort of a situation, the region is facing at the moment. What would happen, to me, it looks, the death and destruction, because Israel has such lethal weapons, and a very powerful country. The army is weak, but the air power is very superior, which they have. So they have the capability to destroy whole of Syria and create chaos and anarchy in Iraq by using their air power together with America. So that is the situation at the moment.
What should India do?
No, India is appealing. India's position is very clear. The foreign minister has said that we want peace and stability. We want two-state solution of the Palestine, which, like most of the countries in the world, we also want to settle these disputes through negotiations. And this is what our policy, then the other thing India believes, that the era of war is over. This is what Prime Minister Modi has said. So we made it clear. Let's wait and see, it's a problem is between, it's a proxy war, going on. Israel is fighting on behalf of America, and
but the change of any change of regime in America, Republican Trump coming back, and Trump says no war, let us have peace. Is it going to have any major say in that region for a peace to settle down? And India also playing a major role along with American Republican Trump's regime?
You see, American policy doesn't change with the change of leadership in that country. American policies, basic policy is, that 21st century is an American century. And they want, they don't want any other country or group of nations, to compete with China or challenge its supremacy. And thirdly, in order to maintain its supremacy in the region, in the world, to remain as the only superpower, they have to have greater control over oil resources of West Asia, Central Asia, as well as in Central Asia, because for a number of reasons, because if they have greater control, which means, they should have control over production and distribution so that the price could be determined by the American oil companies or America, not by the local governments or the cartel. America is also opposed to the OPEC, the cartel which has this quota system, regulates the prices. They are opposed to that. So this policy is there is still, if Trump comes to the power, he will pursue it. Even before coming to the power, he asked the, to hand over the oil resources or oil installation to America. He said that he will protect it from the threat coming from Iran. And secondly, he would also decide the production and distribution, the companies would decide. So he has already made it clear, Then he is also demanding from Saudi Arabia should allow its bases to use by Americans in case if there is a war with Iran. So more hardline stance it looks at the moment. I don't know when he comes, he may change.
On January 20th, after he takes oath.
Yes. Yes.
After he is installed as the President of America, 20th January.
Yeah.
So what else you think now all these countries into war should do? As a good
I know one thing,
as a good citizen.
I know one thing, the era of war is over. And if America and Israel thinks, that they can achieve their strategic goals by waging the war, they are mistaken. They can create instability in a very volatile region, which is oil-rich also. And if that happens, if the war takes place, the possibility is oil supplies would be disrupted. And once the oil supplies are disrupted, then the oil price will go up to manyfold. We don't know how much. And the global economy will go into recession. That includes US and Western Europe because their economies are very weak also. So that is the situation.
But don't you think why America or Israel? Because these oil-rich countries funding Islam or fundamentalism in the name of expansion, is it that is what has become a big deterrent? Is it that the excuse which American and Israelis and other countries want to use that?
No, the Islamic militant organizations' peak is over. The Muslims have come to realize, because they have no solution to the problems which the Muslim communities are facing at the moment. On the contrary, they see, these are the forces, of self-destructive. They have destroyed Iraq, they have weakened Syria, and look what they have done in Afghanistan, or for that matter in Kashmir. That way, the Central Asia and other republics, the major sufferer of these losers, in fact, are the Muslims by their militancy. So they are exposed. They are still there because they can't go anywhere. Now the big powers of big countries are using them as a mercenary because they need money for their survival, and they need weapons that is being provided by the big powers to them, and they are using, but how long, this reversal, the multipolar world is emerging. It can't be checked by the big power. Yeah, they can push it for some time, or they can keep it checked, for a certain period. Russia is too strong, can't be defeated in a war, and it is a power. It has a great influence in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, much more than Chinese influence. China has money, power, that's all. But Russian influence is there because they have supported the national liberation movement in Asia, Afro-Asian countries for a long time.
Yeah.
They are trusted friend of Afro-Asian countries. So this would remain safe.
Yeah. So
I don't have anything new to add,
I know, I understand.
Doctor.
Because now there is a regime change in America, and America is calling for a truce between Hezbollah and Israel. And sincerely, let us hope this peace extends to even Syria and Iran, other regions also. And Iran, like other countries also, will not fund fundamentalism or espouse the cause of fundamentalism in the name of Islam, which will become again a deterrent for US and Israel, or for other countries also, to join that bandwagon, so that the war or proxy wars keep on continuing at the destruction of humans, their lives, and peace at large. See, we come into this world with nothing and we leave this world with nothing. Let us respect each other's religions, or for that matter, resources, rights, and so that the boundaries are always there, human boundaries. So in that way, let us establish this peace as America wants in Israel, as well as between Hezbollah. Let the peace remain, and it's only peace and through talks or negotiations we can literally survive. Otherwise, India, as he rightly said, 90 lakh or more in the Persian Gulf, working in those countries. If they are at war, the Indian migrated population, they are going to suffer. And as he rightly said, 30-40 billion annually, India will get through them as the foreign source of funding. And through our banks and all, India is benefited. And also energy for oil. These are the important issues which are always there, very fundamental to India. When you watch this Asian region or Middle East Asian region or oil, OPEC countries, when they are in war with Israel, India is also bound to definitely suffer in all aspects. Employment too, the money flow, the foreign flow into the country, the foreign exchequer, as well as the energy levels. And what should India do when it comes to Israel and America? The last one, Aghaji. What should India do?
No, we have friendly relation with both America, Israel, Iran, and we have expressed our desire. The government wanted peace, government wanted stability in this region, and government believes, the war will not help solve the problem.
Yeah.
It will further complicate it. This is what the Prime Minister said.
Yeah.
And he said the era of war has ended. He has given this advice to President Putin also, is government is using all its offices to promote peace in this region, and as well as with the Russian and Ukrainian. The Prime Minister himself visited both the countries, talked to their leaders, and explained India's point of view. And many countries in the Western Europe have appreciated that. And let's wait and see. This is a big game which is going on.
Yeah, this is a big game which is
Israel
going on. India always wants peace, and through DRTSPR channels, anyone can write to United Nations or those countries in war that it should be peace, it should be negotiation across the tables, which should help all these countries to live in unison. Otherwise, the destruction is there for everyone, not this generation, the coming generations too have to suffer. So that is the reason why through DRTSPR channels, we appeal for peace in the region. Nothing is impossible if you sit across the table and negotiate. That is what we strongly feel. It is not through those weapons, those joysticks which control. That is not going to help. And also such type of industries funding election process in whether it is America, India, or anywhere is also a thing which all the countries should ponder over. Enough is enough. Let us all march towards peace. Thank you very much, Qamar Agha ji. Take care. Bye.